This video will take you on a journey about stories, storytelling and storification. I will try to explain these known yet often misunderstood concepts and give you examples of how they can be used in the business life, what can you do with them and how you and your customers can benefit from them. I will also give an example how I utilize storytelling in the event I designed and led for 7 years called Viaporin Kekri and held in Suomenlinna during the All Saints Day. Finally, I will explain few tools which you would be able to apply to your business. So let's start by debunking the great myth and confusion about storytelling and storification. Both of the terms are often used interchangeably, and in many cases people think it's the same thing. So let's take a moment to unpack that first. I think we can all identify with stories quite easy, as they have been an essential part of our lives since the childhood. Think of any movie you've seen recently. Often it's the good story that sustained your interest and kept you glued to the sofa. Each story has a hero who moves through different situations and on a way learns many things and comes back to its environment changed. Bruce Willis saves the world, Arnold destroys it, you get a drill. In essence, I think we all can identify with a pattern of stories. It's this exact pattern that you will utilize in a business storytelling. When we talk about business storytelling, there are 4 things that you will use it for. It is a way of thinking, way of structuring, preparing and delivering messages. In order to do this, you will use various tools and techniques borrowed from theater studies, all in order to achieve a range of specific business goals with specific audiences. As I said before, stories are something that is familiar to us and we easily identify with them. Our entire world, systems and even beliefs as well as cultural contexts are deeply rooted in the stories. The structure of the story is familiar to us. We almost always have the same elements present: beginning, rising action, climax and ending or a wrap-up. We in a way already know what to expect when the story starts, and that makes us comfortable, as it is something known. But yet it's exciting as we don't really know all of the details that are coming. In business storytelling, the story delivered, it's only the tip of the iceberg, and the customers only see a very small part of it. It's those behind the scenes and those complex details that make this discipline an art. It's all of the small details, different kind of tools and techniques that we borrow from other industries that then eventually come as a piece of the puzzle together in order to create a cohesive message that will be visible to customers through the various digital and physical channels that businesses use. In business contexts, we often use stories in order to send a message to the customers. We aim to get some kind of reaction from them, some feeling that will convert into the thoughts so they will choose you over your competitors. In short, you want people to experience something and then to remember it. Maybe you want your customer to know that your business exists, or you want them to buy your product, or maybe you even go a step further of basically incorporating story within the experience and therefore drive the entire experience forward. Think, for example, of Airbnb that is trying to sell the experience of living like a local. They're not just brokering temporary room rental, or Nike with their "Just Do It" slogan, and that calls for the story to be continued. Storytelling has a power to affect all areas of business and not only communication, as it has been mainly used for. On the other hand, we have storification. And storification basically is the process of applying story structure, tools and techniques to an existing message, but also to a business or a strategy. So in short, really, storification is the meaning that emerges from the narrative. There's this wonderful tool called the hero's journey, or the monomyth, which is the template of stories whose main character is perceived as a hero who goes on the adventure and goes through many different phases and eventually comes back from this journey back to its own environment, but he comes changed due to the events he encountered on the way. This tool has been popularized by Joseph Campbell and also influenced by Carl Jung's analytical psychology, and the book that was released was back in '94 called The Hero with 1,000 Faces. The trend of using story as a way of thinking makes the customer or even the other stakeholders the hero of the story or the message, and therefore you or your business as the mentor, coach, or a facilitator. If we go back to the stories and their meaning, we all know that we are more receptive to messages that talk about us rather than stories that talk about companies, their products or services they're trying to sell us. Majority of companies' websites and social media talk only about them, how good they are, how good their products are, how good their services are. What if they would attempt to storify that content and instead talking about that, talk about how they can help their customers become successful, or how they can help them solve a problem by using their product or service? There has been a little bit shift in this direction in the past 5 years, but we are really talking about baby steps towards storification. Yet it's better than nothing. Showing the customer as a hero and having emphasis on how difficult job it has been for them to change with the help of you and your business, showing they managed to reach a better place and have done different things, this is where the storification should really flourish. You see the pattern of the first words here in these sentences, show. So show, don't tell. Having perspective where your customer is your hero, it's more than just showing plain customer centricity. It's also possibility to really empathize and understand your customers and understand their pain points. And then laying it all on the customer journey and trying to understand the entire journey and not just this tiny little interaction with them through the story, as well as perhaps sometimes spreading the entire story to the journey will give you a possibility, of course, to serve them better. There's also another tool that it's often utilized in storytelling, and it can be easily applied to the business context, and that's called Freytag's pyramid. This was developed by Gustav Freytag in the mid-19th century. And basically this is the structure of the story that has 5 different elements. I think we all can easily associate with that because these are the elements of the stories that we know. So we have the exposition, which is the beginning of the story. Then we have the rising action, which basically means some dramatic element is happening here. Then you have the climax, which is really the peak of the story, slowly falling action, getting down towards the resolution. And then the resolution or the wrap-up, which really is the end of the story. One good way to storify the entire journey of your customer is to apply Freytag's pyramid to that. Layering it together with the hero's journey, you are most likely being able to make your business more attractive and memorable to your customers. Let me tell you what and how I utilize this in Viaporin Kekkari event I mentioned at the beginning. At the beginning, we first struggled to find a theme for the event. It was end of the autumn, it was around Halloween season, yet setting was in Suomenlinna, and because of its historical importance in Finland, we wanted to really avoid 2 commercial events. So luckily we found an end of the harvest season festival, so-called Kekkari, which has been held all around Finland and has been unfortunately forgotten. This was the way to revive old forgotten tradition and to call all our customers to be heroes and help us bring back the celebration of Kekkari, while at the same time creating the new traditions. So the main story is exactly that. Come to Suomenlinna and help us revive old tradition of Kekkari by participating in this event. We also made sure to design a few participatory elements. For example, we had the burning of the buck, so there was a large buck made of hay, and this was connected to the old fire burning ritual of Kekkari, which we kind of added a bit of a postmodern spin to. We also had making your own little Kekkari pukki of hay, so participating in this helped people to connect to the event better. And then we had about 120 students who were creating different experiences, so participating in their experiences was something that highlighted the whole story of the event. And we managed to reach the goal. We added the postmodern spin to the event by letting people create their own experiences, all under the umbrella of the same story. All entrepreneurs, and we had about 64 different companies joining us here, and partners that took part in the event were asked to keep the Kekkari theme during the day, so the same story, which then also helped enhance the experience of the guests. And finally, when it comes to the tools, we utilized both Hero's Journey and the Freytag pyramids. We utilized only some elements of each, and then we layered them on top of the customer journey, spicing it up with those small participatory elements that I mentioned earlier. So as you can see, utilizing good story and creating your own storification process to fit to your concept is really the key. A little bit like making the bread. There are many, many varieties of breads, but basic ingredients are always the same. And to wrap up, storytelling, it's yet another discipline that is starting to cross with business, and we should utilize it simply as it resonates well with all of us. If I were to leave you with few most important things, I would say, utilize at least these 3 elements and you will do better than most. Have a conflict or a problem that your company will solve. Have the character or the hero, which is basically your customer. And finally, have the climax or the peak of the experience that you're creating. Then try to wrap it up in a seamless movement through the channels and you got yourself a winner. Thank you.